Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vegan Bree and I talk about all things vegan and cruelty free, mainly beauty, and I'm going to rank all my Nomad palettes. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Nomad palettes. I bought almost every single palette last year-ish or so, like their first release from 2022. I bought almost every single one of them. So, and I was sent one as my birthday gift, which I'll get into. So my number one palette is the Nomad Hudson Valley palette. Look at this, and they are a travel-based brand. So Felicia and her husband and their baby Nomad, travel all over the world. She's been to over 80 something countries. So yeah, this palette is actually based off her hometown in Hudson Valley, New York, or Hudson, New York. Yeah, Hudson Valley, New York. And it is a just really cool take on a neutral palette. I like the warm tones. This is definitely fall inspired, which just came out during the fall of last year. The shimmers are just like really, really metallic, beautiful. I love the greens. I love how they're like a cool tone green, and then also this rose cool, like really cool tone. The reds are good. The oranges are good. Like I love this. This is just my favorite. Like it's just easy to use, but like it's a good, like I said, neutral palette with like a little bit of a twist. And then this palette really surprised me. Like I almost didn't get it because when it came out, I had actually lost my job. So I was like, no, I'm not going to get it. And then I also was like, I don't know if it's for me. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. No, I love it. The Fille de Provence palette, which is like French inspired. So pretty. Like my favorite palette packaging. I don't know. And for the brand. But I was like, oh, I don't know about the cool tone purples. I love it. I really, really do like them. And I like this gray tone row as well. Like I didn't think I would, but they blend really well. And they're just fun to use. Kind of like, to challenge myself. But I really like them. The pinks, the peaches, the reds. Like the yellows. I really, really like enjoy this palette. I also feel like I use this a lot for neutrals too. I mix around with palettes all the time when I'm using palettes, but this palette is just like, if you want cool tones, you have cool tones. If you want warm tones, you have warm tones. But like, I just love this palette. It came out last summer, but it's like a spring inspired. But I use palettes like interchangeable. I don't care if it's like a fall look or a winter look or a summer look or a spring look, whatever. This is their newest palette. This is the Akavanga palette based off of Akavanga, Africa. It is like a velvety texture. My daughter got into some type of blush and stained it, whatever. So that's different for their brand. But this is it's softer than it looks, okay? So if you're like, oh no, I'm intimidated by color, like there's only greens in here. So it's not, I don't think it's very intimidating. And the shimmers are they're not metallic per se. Now, Leaping Lichwi's is metallic. This is more like a pinky sort of bronze shade. But the other shades, now there is kind of like hard pan. So I personally don't recommend, you can use your finger. A brush is kind of hard. Like, I don't think that it always works very well. But I'll just swatch the other shimmers. So there are 3 shades that have animal print in them and they're more like mixed. So these are the shimmers though. Like they're neutral, but they're greens and kind of a cool tone, 2 cool tone shades. This is I guess like in the mid. But yeah, greens, bronzes. Like I think this is a really cool neutral palette. And they're not, you can wet them and they become more intense. But I personally recommend using your finger. That's how I usually apply shimmers anyway. I don't always use a brush. Maybe to get in here, if I miss a little bit with my finger, I'll use a brush. But I like that there's the browns are really, really good. And I don't know, they're kind of like different browns. Like you have your cheap dark browns, you have a black and almost gray, but it is pretty much black if you build it up. But the browns, I just feel like this is very approachable, and greens I feel like can be a neutral, at least for me. So I really enjoy this palette. Now, like I said, yes, you have to work with the shimmers a little bit more, but some people like softer shimmers. They're not soft. That's not what I mean, but they're not wham. So they're not the most intense, but some people want that. Then when I work from home, I use this so much, especially when I got it. I almost exclusively use just this palette. This is the Paradise Islands palette. This is based off of not the Polynesian Islands. I'll look it up. Here we go. The Pacific Paradise Islands. the like Moana, Tiki. I'm completely butchering that, but she does like crosswords and like clues and everything to guess her palette theme. And this palette has had some love. Like I have 3 pans in there. Almost hitting pan on the orange, like the light orange. Yeah, I love this palette. The purples are not my favorite, especially this, like they're not my favorite shades in this palette. And also this one is a little more like satin than like metallic. And I don't know what it is about this shade. These 3 are not my favorite, but the rest of the palette I really do like. I love greens, as you can see. I love blues, but I love the color blue, but I don't use it a lot. But like, I like that this is like their pastel, like soft palette, but it's like, these are intense, okay? These are not like weak shades, all right? These are like, I love like ethereal shades. Why did I make it look like, I guess I had something else on my finger. They're different. This is like a pinky blue. This is like a, I don't know, okay? I have other stuff in my hand. I'm like, this is not dark. All right, they still kind of look similar, even though they're not. But one is pinky-ish blue, and then the other one is like, I don't know, like it's just different, okay? They're like more glowy than like metallic, but they glow in your inner corner. They're really, really good. The greens are also really good. Like, I really like the greens. Yeah, it's a really, like, this is a fun palette. If you need like pops or something, or you're doing something different, this is really good. And like they're pastelish, so like easier, again, for me, I think is more approachable to use. Then this palette, this is their, so not the, this came before the Akavanga palette. This also is different for like their packaging. It's literally like textured. This is the Royal Europe palette, based off of Europe, like the royal family. And this is like, these are multi-chromes, which you can buy in singles for $12 each. They're really, really amazing. They are metallic, okay? Like, they are jewel tones, amazing. Like, these are pigmented, okay? Like, I wouldn't recommend this for beginners per se, because this is intense. Like, and they're all dark tones. So if you wanted to pair like this palette or even like a neutral palette, like with lighter browns, or this palette, or even the Akavanga palette, like this is an intense palette. Like it's really, these are, if you want jewel tones, like super pigmented but easy to blend jewel tones, this is your palette. Like it has every jewel tone shade you could imagine in here. It is really good. It is very pigmented. They are very easy to blend, but it will take over a look, whereas like you only need a dab. Like if you put too much, it's gonna go all over your eye, which if that's what you want, but I just wanted to be real with you guys. But this is amazing. Then the palette that I got sent for my 30th birthday, yes, I'm 30, almost 31, is, which she kindly was like, hey, do you want this palette for your birthday? I'm like, yeah. So I was gonna get it anyway, but this is the Nomad Monteverde palette. It's the Bosque Nuboso de Monteverde palette. Okay, that's enough of that. Butchering that name. So it's a cloud forest palette. So it's like a jungle palette. Like, this is, if you want brights, this is brights. Only thing I will say is I wish there was more variety in the shimmers, especially because of the mattes, but I still like them. Like this is, like I said, this is bright, like bright yellow, bright green, bright blue, bright pink, bright orange. Like this is a very fun like palette. It has just, they're all fun, but like this is like bright, like it's like your bright palette, but this is the only one that's not a green, and it's like a blue, like icy blue, which is really cool with these shades. But, and this is a green that's kind of shifty. It is a little harder pressed, but it has like a pink shift to it, which I don't really see that a lot. Like it's not like a pretty, like it's not like a typical pretty shade, but I think it's kind of cool because it's like almost grungy, which I love my greens. And the purple is really good. Like every shade's really good. Like it's a purple. Like I point that out because there's a lot of purples that say they're purple and they're not purple. They're more like a brown or like a mauve. Like they're not true purples. But this shade is, this palette is just, like I said, it's fun. There's one neutral in there, the brown, just to kind of ground it, and you can use it as liner. I use browns and blacks a lot as liner, or like even colorful shades or shimmers. Like use whatever you want, like however you want. Yeah, this is my, it's not because I don't like it. I don't reach for it a lot because it is so bright and there's just greens in there. Not that there's, I mean, if you like greens. And then last but not least, it was actually my first palette that I got from Nomad. This is the Snow Lodge palette. This is Whistler, British Columbia. And I have this, so I'm not super into like really, really deep shades. So that's why even though I have used this, it's not like my favorite palette. Like I don't use a lot of gold. I used to, like back in the day when I was first really getting into makeup, the first couple of years, I used gold, I used bronzes, I used rose gold. I don't really do that anymore. I use more color. So I do like this, but I also wish there was more like mid-tones. I like a palette that has like mid-tones, lights, and darks personally when it comes to shimmers as well as mattes, just so I can get a more cohesive look, especially for like my job and everything. But I do like this palette. It has been discontinued. All the other palettes are still around. But if you find this on sale and this is something you're looking for, like I do like the inner corner shades. I just wish there was more mid-tones. Like I do like the shimmers, but this is like the only mid-tone. The rest are darks or lights. So, and I don't really feel like these two shades go with this shade, in my opinion. Like everyone's different, but it didn't look very nice in my opinion. So I don't have a video on the last two palettes that came out. I'm doing like a cohesive, like all over review in this video since I'm like late to the game, but like I want to try a palette. Like I want to try every single shade before I do a review. I don't want to be like, oh my God, it sucks. I've only tried like, you know, half the palette or a quarter of the palette. I want to use every single shade so I can tell you guys or anyone who's buying it, like if I would recommend it personally or I would not recommend it, because each shade can vary shade to shade. So anyway, yeah, let me know if you tried Nomad or if you want to try Nomad. The owner is phenomenal. Like she is super nice. She takes constructive criticism. She's just the sweetest person. Like she's just amazing. I've had really great conversations with her as a mom, as a brand owner, as just a person. So yeah, enjoy this video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.